Here we go. So we'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Daly City Planning Commission meeting for December 5th, 2023, here in the council chambers of the City of Daly City. I'd like to open the meeting with the pledge to the flag. Please stand. Ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Usually on this side. I know. They tricked me. Okay. So at this time, I'd like to look for the approval of the minutes of November 7th. Oh, I'm sorry. There is a roll call. I'm just going to, pardon me. Roll call, please.
Fa'apua.
Here.
Paniza.
Here.
Satori.
Yes.
Proano.
Here. Thank you. Now we're going to go to the minutes. So I'd like to seek the approval of the minutes of November 7th, Planning Commission meeting.
I motion for approval, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. So before we begin the meeting, and it's nice to see everybody here, we usually don't get so many guests. We're so excited, okay? But I want to let you know that from us, our job is to ask the questions, okay? Because that's our job as being part of this entity here. And so when we ask the questions, it's not that we're for or against or any of that. What we're trying to do is do our job. Whereas when we listen to you, we are going to be thrilled to listen to your comments. You have 2 minutes. So if you want to do a tag team where you start one and then somebody else and you continue your thought, you can do that. But 2 minutes. I don't want to be rude because I haven't had to use this before, but I'll use it because we can't be here till midnight. So again, just know nothing's personal here. We're here to do our jobs and you guys are here to let us listen. Okay, so that's how we're going to start the meeting. Next, you had a question?
Before you, Your Honor, Madam Chairman, before we entertain Mr. Michael here, this is just a clarificatory question. Is this not included in the general plan, just like we discussed before?
Well, Commissioner, this item would be an amendment to the city's general plan. So no, it's not something that's currently anticipated by the general plan. That's why there's an application to amend the city's general plan.
Okay. So this is not also the housing element plan?
The units that are proposed tonight would definitely be included in the housing element submittal we have into the state of California, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, because I'm asking this for clarification because I do not want to duplicate my question again about the general plan and the so-called housing element. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
Perfect. And now I have some people who want to speak. You don't have to. Maybe a lot of these people are going to say what you want to say. Are there any other of these that we'd like to gather up here? I see someone there. Thank you so much. Okay, good. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Michael Van Longhuysen, General Plan, and we're going to be discussing the General Plan Amendment of GPA 0421149998, Plan Development PD 0421149997, Major Subdivision MS Sub 0421149999, and Design Review D 0421150000. Precise Plan Final Review of Proposal to redevelop the Serramonte Del Rey campus to a new commercial mixed-use neighborhood. Michael, you're next.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is the Planning Commission meeting to consider the precise plan for the redevelopment of Serramonte Del Rey High School. The Planning Commission has seen this project before in its preliminary plan format a little while back. And yes, these are the project numbers on the screen that the Planning Commission would be recommending to the City Council for consideration. I think everybody knows where Serramonte Del Rey High School is, but for those who are not familiar, it's essentially at 699 Serramonte Boulevard. The area that is in the black, which includes the area in the red outline, is currently zoned PD 31. The hashed mark area is the teacher and staff housing project that the Planning Commission and City Council approved and has been constructed. And that's, again, shown in the black hash area. The Planning Commission would be recommending to the City Council a rezoning of the area inside the red area only. So the balance, the office development that exists on Campus Drive and the existing apartment complex that exists on the west side of Campus Drive would not be affected by this rezoning, just for clarification. So those would remain PD 31. Everything else would be rezoned to PD 31B because PD 31A was what changed the zoning to allow for the staff and teacher housing. Here's some pictures of the project site from Ceremony Boulevard. The staff and teacher housing project, again, has been constructed and occupied. It's on the right side of the top screen, top picture, and the rest of the view on the bottom screen is what essentially what the high school site looks like today. It's used for administrative offices by the school district, which will be moving to new administrative offices. So this site will be, aside from the existing housing, will be vacant, I believe, past this summer, minus some sort of small activities that are some leaseholders inside the building. This is the project site from Campus Drive. So looking to the north, on the right side is the Shasta Summit High School. It's a charter school that exists under the high school district's auspice. So here's just some pictures looking to the northeast and northwest. So a project overview. So this is a new precise plan for the campus. There's an existing precise plan. We'll talk about what the existing zoning allows. There's a document that's actually called the precise plan that's in your packet. If you'd like, we have a PDF of that we can bring up and talk about anything specific. It's a little tricky trying to turn this into a presentation, this much information. So if the planning commissioners would like to just use this PDF, we have it accessible. So it's a new precise plan for the campus. The redevelopment of the campus would include 1,235 units. Now, of those, 122 are already existing as part of the teacher and staff housing project that's already been built. So we're looking at 1,113 additional maximum units. So it's that many units of affordable and market rate housing. There is some retail component that could be constructed as part of this. And for this reason, we're proposing a redesignation to commercial mixed use, not just residential. And so there's some allowance for just a little bit of retail, but it does trigger that general plan land use, as well as a Head Start childcare facility would be a part of this approval. The site would be divided into 6 developable parcels. We'll go over what those are, and additional street parcels with public access easement. Building heights would be as tall as 14 stories, and we'll go over what that includes. Build out of the site is anticipated over a 10-year period. So this is an existing site plan to orient the Planning Commission and public to this area. This on the west side is St. Francis Boulevard extension. There's essentially a row of houses on the east side of the street. This is Ceremony Boulevard going down to Ceremony Shopping Center, which sits sort of kitty corner to the parcel in question. There's a steep slope between the previous high school and the intersection. So when we look at this intersection, looking up at the site, you can't see most of it. And this is Callan Boulevard. And then Campus Drive exists on the south side of the site, again, connecting to the existing apartments on the west side of Campus Drive and the Summit Shasta High School and office on the east side of Campus Drive. So that's the well, let's go back there real quick. So this is the existing teacher housing, staff and teacher housing that was constructed, faculty housing. And this is the existing parking lot that serves the old high school. This is the proposed site plan. So again, this building that I'm circling here already exists. And then we'll go into the parcelization, but essentially the district is proposing that several new apartment buildings be constructed. These aren't proposed currently as any condominiums. They would be owned by the district in perpetuity, and the individual parcels would be leased to individual apartment developers. So at least the plan now is not that the school district would build the buildings, they would lease them to apartment builders, KB Homes, Lennar, this sort of companies that build apartments. This is a list of the entitlements required, starting with the highest entitlement, which is the amendment to the general plan. The city's general plan designation needs to be changed from residential high density and commercial office to commercial mixed use, and I'd explained why the mixed use designation, because there's some retail involved. The second is a rezone of the project site from PD 31 and PD 31A to a new plan development, which would be PD 31B. The letters indicate the number of changes to the PD zone that have been made. There is a design review for the site and building design for parcel B, and we'll go over what that is. There's a major subdivision involved. The district's parcel is a single parcel now and would be divided into 6 developable parcels with additional street parcels, all of which provide public access easements. So the public would have in perpetuity the ability to cross over these roads, as well as the city of Daly City would have the ability to access them should there be an emergency maintenance. But the plan for maintaining all of the roads and all of the utilities under the roads is that the district would do this on its own nickel. And so if there's a cost that's associated with maintaining this, it is the district's responsibility ultimately to make those repairs. The city would not incur cost in that. The fifth entitlement is the certification of the environmental impact report for the project. The city has circulated a draft environmental impact report, and also responded to any of the comments that were issued by the public, responsible agencies, as well as state agencies, and has compiled those in a final environmental impact report. We call this document actually the final environmental impact report. It incorporates the draft environmental impact report and the final impact report. So just a clarification on nomenclature there. The Planning Commission's also being asked to determine whether the development agreement that's proposed is in conformity with the general plan. So there's essentially the list. That is essentially the list of the entitlements that are being requested from the Planning Commission, again, making a recommendation to the City Council on this. A little background, the Serramonte Del Rey Precise Plan was approved for this campus in 1985. Some of you may know that the Serramonte Del Rey campus was closed, I believe, in the early 1980s due to enrollment issues, and students were sent to other area high schools, of course. And so the land became at that point available for development, and a private developer at that time received entitlement to build either 175 units and 500,000 square feet of retail office, which is quite a bit of office, or 700,000 square feet of office. So this second bullet represents what is allowed there today. The city has completed an environmental review for this some while back, but this is the zoning in place, the second bullet. The City Council approved an amendment to the Precise Plan, PD 31A, in January 2020, again to allow for the faculty and staff housing at the northwest corner of the site, and that was to allow those 122 units that I mentioned previously. And those, again, are complete and occupied. So that's just a little overview of the background of the site. We prepared this slide just to provide the Planning Commission an idea of the amount of effort that has gone into this project, not only by the city staff, but the City Council's committees on affordable housing and development review. There have been discussions between the City Council and school district, and we're not going to go through each one of these. It's really meant to just kind of indicate the effort that's gone into this, as well as identify the public outreach measures that have occurred, both as part of the preliminary plan review process, as well as the routing of the environmental document. The city routed that document to, again, state agencies, any responsible agencies, all of the property owners within 300 feet of the of the project, as well as all interested parties, and received, I believe, 38 comments on that. And those are all included in as an attachment to your Planning Commission packet. Moving forward, if this project were to proceed, it would receive a public hearing likely in January of 2024. That's a typo on the last line. So what is a precise plan? And essentially, the zoning ordinance allows sites that are over 1 acre in size to essentially rezone to plan development zoning. There's it's a 3-step process, but it's really just kind of 2 steps: preliminary plan and precise plan. The Planning Commission and City Council have approved the preliminary plan for this, and it's very similar to what's being proposed tonight. There have been minor tweaks. The city staff and the applicant have since that preliminary plan approval, have since negotiated a development agreement, and that's what the bulk of the work that we've done has pertained to, that development agreement. We won't get too into the weeds of what the development agreement contains, although you're free to ask any questions, but essentially the development agreement does contain provisions for constructing public infrastructure, as well as the provision on the applicant's part for providing affordable housing in excess of what the city's inclusionary zoning law requires. So what is an urban design plan? And getting into, again, the document that's being considered tonight. It is a plan for the 22-acre site. It contains details about the development capacity, both pedestrian and vehicular circulation patterns, private and public open space areas. And when we say public, usually those are provided by easement, infrastructural needs, and the phasing plan for essentially implementing the construction. This is a phased development. This development will not be constructed all at one time. The project will be built in phases, and we will go through that. The precise plan also contains objective design standards, and this is a term you've heard before in the CMU zone development. You're going to hear more about objective design standards. The state of California has basically required that cities, when they consider residential development projects that are in the city's arena, to have objective development standards that we use to either approve or disapprove future residential development. And the idea here is that we would take subjectiveness out of the process. Personal opinions about whether a building looks good or not are supposed to be something that we don't do anymore. So objective development standards, and we'll go through what some of those are for this project. The precise plan was developed with significant input by planning, the Planning Division, the Public Works Department, and the North County Fire Authority staff, as we shouldn't leave out the Department of Water and Wastewater Resources, which also had considerable input into this. So this is the sort of the aerial view of the project. We have a zoomed in on this too, but it does provide some context for what the project is. Of course, it's the area in the center. This is Campus Drive, and this is Highway 1 and Ceremony Shopping Center, just to orient everybody. So the precise plan has a vision that it communicates, and we won't go through too much of this, but essentially new walkable residential area. This is a very modern type of precise plan. The urban designer who designed this put a lot of time and effort in working with the city staff to make sure that the open space areas and the housing areas had very good balance, that housing was framed by open space areas, that the architectural components of the precise plan would be such that they represented a high quality and brought in a high quality architectural design to the city of Daly City. There's an effort that's been made to have residential neighborhoods that have, and each one of these little things it's not a misstatement to call them neighborhoods. Each of the different parcels have different qualities, and we'll take a look at that. But to have a diversity of income levels inside the different areas as well. So we just kind of cut and pasted the precise plan vision. Some of the pictures, they kind of do tell 1,000 words. They communicate, though, the quality that the applicant is trying to achieve in this project. There's been a lot of thought that's been put into developing a pedestrian system, a bikeway system that is inclusive of different modes of transportation besides the car. One of the things that the Planning Commission has also heard of is AB 2097. This essentially disallows cities from regulating parking that when it's close to high-quality transit. And this project does qualify for that. And so our conversation about where cars are parked and how many parking spaces there are is somewhat, it's not going to be highlighted like it has been in the past. This is something that, even though it is there's targets that are identified in the zoning, there's plan development zoning for this. It's not an area that the city could effectively regulate. And so we wanted to make sure that we remember that. Here's just some more clips from the zoomed in clip on the top. Perhaps most importantly, because building heights do become a question of what they might look like in this proposal. And that top image might provide you the best idea of what that is. Now, the architectural qualities of these buildings will be further refined. Aside from parcel B, which is this, so this is the faculty and staff housing that's already been constructed. This is parcel B, so we know the architectural qualities of this building that's been proposed for a design review approval. The balance of these buildings, though, would be subject to objective design standards. And so there's not a final design on them, and that's the way they look. That's the reason they look the way they do. The architectural quality would represent something, as we see here, at the lower left, parcel B. Again, contemporary architecture, lots of glass, this sort of thing, activated street level. So the precise plan has 5 main sections. There's more sections, but these are the ones that would matter to the Planning Commission the most. The objective design standards, circulation, parking and open space, utilities, and the implementation, which is the project phasing. So one of the first things that the objective design standards identify is the roadway network, which is essentially this looped road, and these names will probably change, but this is the entry drive. Parcel A, again, has already been constructed with the teacher housing. So it moves in a clockwise direction, B, D, C, and the parcel C is where the affordable housing is proposed. And we do have representatives, I believe, tonight from the affordable housing developer. Should the Planning Commission have any specific questions with regard to affordable housing, parcel E and F. And so when we reference these parcels, and we can always come back to this map, this is essentially the parcelization that's proposed. The objective design standard, this is actually cut and pasted from the precise plan zoning. And this represents the maximum number of units that could be built on each of the parcels. The total here does not represent 1,235 units, but more. And the reason for that is that some of the buildings can have tower elements. But what's important here on the right side is the development intensity. The city staff and the applicant have worked to make sure that there is a minimum density that would be required essentially under this. And the reason for that is that the state mandates that at least 30 dwelling units to the acre becomes affordable, and we can expect that mandate to change upward as we try and provide more intensification, more densification, if you will, for residential land uses. So this is the unit count, but again, the unit count cannot, including the teacher and staff housing, exceed 1,235, and really just 1,113 new units. This map shows the maximum building heights, and the maximum building heights, as drawn in parcel B, I believe are like 87 feet. We asked the applicant to round up to 90 feet, and so the 90-foot maximum height would apply on parcels. Again, this parcel's already been built, but B, D, C, E, and F. On parcels E and F, there can be D, E, and F rather, they can be tower elements, and there's a graphic that we have that will show you what exactly that would look like. And that's this graphic. So this shows the podium level construction for these buildings, as well as the additional height that could be allowed in this tower envelope. So the podium is essentially kind of like the base of the building, and then there are tower elements And tower elements are good because they do provide architectural enhancements, at least in the staff's opinion. It's notable that the building heights that are proposed on this parcel are ones that we do feel are acceptable in this development location, because the site sits somewhat in a bowl of the higher. There's an existing row of houses again on the east side of St. Francis Boulevard. And we do feel that the heights that are proposed are ones that will not occlude views. They do not create any sort of eyesore or public nuisance, especially given the high-quality architecture. So the city staff has agreed to support this tower element, again, on parcels D, E, and F. And again, if you'd like, we can get into the precise plan. It's a little tricky creating a presentation for so much detail that's in this. There's 97% of what's in this document, and we won't be able to cover in a presentation to you. So if you have any questions, more than happy to answer those. On the right side of the screen shows a before and after image of what parcel B would look like, and I believe there might even be part of parcel D, or maybe parcel C on there. But essentially, this shows what, if trees were removed, what that would look like. And there is no proposal to remove the trees, and you can kind of see them silhouetted in still. But the idea of this drawing is to show, again, what you would see from the intersection of Ceremony and Callan looking to the southwest. And in the graphic on the left just shows an example of what the objective design standards, again, would communicate to this city staff and future city staffs who would review these buildings. There have to be certain elements of push and pull on the buildings to provide what's, again, the Planning Commission is familiar with the concept of articulation, making sure that the buildings are not all in one plane. This, generally speaking, provides for a higher quality architectural component. Distinctive first floors, midsections, and top type of architectural components are what make buildings look better. And again, the architecture of Building B provides actually our only example, aside from what's been built on Parcel A, of this architectural concept. The proposal also includes build-to lines. Part of what the city staff and the applicant have worked toward is making sure that buildings do not have a sea of parking in front of them, that to make a livable street, to make streets that are activated, retail at the front of the street. There are regulations that are built into the precise plan, into the objective design standards that provide maximum build-to lines at these locations. And we can get into that if you'd like to, but essentially what we're trying to communicate here is that this concept has been thought of and it's been included in the regulations to make sure that in the future, because the Planning Commission and City Council will not be considering the architectural qualities of buildings in this development, should it be approved. The idea is that the city staff would use these objective design standards to review them administratively in a phased, again, building approach. The applicant could, depending on the developer that chooses on which parcel to build, and parcel C is an exception because that's the affordable parcel, but essentially B, D, E, and F, there are different possibilities for which one gets built first. And all of that has been taken into consideration in the phasing plan. But what we're trying, again, to communicate here is that architectural concepts have been paid very close attention to. So the circulation component of the precise plan is essentially, again, the street pattern. The city's Public Works Department, the Planning Division, have worked closely with the applicant to develop a street system that includes, again, both pedestrian and bicycle amenities. We want to make sure that this is an area that can be bicycled through, from and to. So we want to, the street pattern and the street dimensions have included a lot of detail that's gone into that. There's also the provision of a pedestrian walkway that's shown in this kind of red line area here. That would essentially begin at the south side of Parcel C and continue through to Ceremony Boulevard. This is an example of from the precise plan of the street dimensions that have been provided, or developed and agreed to. And we won't get into the details here, but we're just showing this to you to show that, again, this is all illustrated in the plan and a considerable amount of thought and detail has been put into it. So with regard to parks and open space, all of the open space parcels, or the parcels that contain open space, would essentially be leased from the school district and included in the lease agreement for the adjacent building. So the developer of parcel E, when they lease the parcel from the school district, would also be responsible for, and we have a list of the open space parcels, but just to give an example, the central green here, which is the primary open space area visible from Entry Drive as you enter the site. So there's this area, there's Overlook Park, and this is the area that would include a community garden, and that's kind of in this area here, as well as South Point Park here. And all of these areas would, again, be, even though they'd be owned by the school district, leased to the apartment builders, they would have public accessibility via easement. And that's been required as a condition of approval and shown on the subdivision map. So these are the different areas. There's 5 different areas. The Central Green, which was on Parcel E, and we can switch back if you'd like. Central Green, Overlook Park, South Point Park, the East Recreational Trail. I think I kind of glossed over that one. That's here. And the West Side Walking Trail. That was that red line that goes through parcels B, C, and D. Each of the parcels would be built at the same time of their respective parcel and would count as part of the city's requirement for open space, which is 150 square feet per residential unit. So the next section of the precise plan is the implementation. And of course, this is way too much information to try and read, but essentially the applicant and the city staff have discussed different ways that this project could be built. Again, Parcel A has already been built, so we have B, C, D, and F. And there's different phases that these could occur in. And the footnotes at the bottom of this implementation plan are actually really important because they consider different scenarios of when say parcels D is built before B, how much of a street needs to be built. So there's been a lot of thought that's been put into that as well. Of course, all of these buildings would be subject to the city's building permit process, thorough review by the city's fire department, public works department. We would, of course, ensure that any singular phase meets all of the city's codes and is safely accessible and provides any of the resources that are needed by residents in terms of access, open space, et cetera. Won't get too far into this implementation because just in the interest of time, but essentially it was first thought that Parcel B would be the next phase that's built. We don't know that necessarily will occur. Maybe it will. But there's essentially different scenarios under which the plan could be implemented. And all these words basically describe, this is from the staff report, describe the different phasing that could occur. And we're happy to get into any of that should plan commissioners have any questions. So that's essentially, in a very concise nutshell, what's in the precise plan. Again, happy to open that document if you have any particular questions. The applicant has applied for design review of Building B only to orient the Planning Commission as to where Building B is. This is Ceremony Boulevard. This is the exit ramp from Highway 1 northbound. This intersection will become signalized as part of this project. So they will receive a traffic signal reviewed by Caltrans and constructed by the development. And the development agreement that's the Planning Commission is considering for a general plan conformity recommendation contains specifics about when that would get built. But getting back to the design review, the applicants requested a design review of Building B. So there's a lot more. This is the only building that we have a detail on. This is the same, concept that was used for Midway Village that received a preliminary design review for one of the buildings there. And these are the elevations of that building. The city staff and the applicant have worked again closely on the architectural, merits of this building, the components of it. It's got a lot of strong architectural qualities. By the time we ended up with the final drawing, there was no need for any conditions of approval, minus some things about making sure that the metals used on the building exterior don't, rust over time, this sort of thing. But again, this building, just to illustrate, has very strong architectural components. It has a distinctive base here at the street level activation with the retail midsection, as well as the top of the building has architectural qualities here that provide architectural visual distinction in the vertical nature of the building. These are the other elevations of the building. This is the west elevation facing Entry Drive. And again, the concept here is to have a very strong retail presence that connects to the city side, or the sidewalk system. It's actually a private sidewalk at that location. All of the parking that's provided for this building would be essentially tucked under the building. So there's no open parking field that's proposed as part of this building. And that's a concept that's carried out throughout all of the site planning that's gone into this, and it's a very important one. The applicants applied for a tentative subdivision map, again, to subdivide the property in the ways that we described previously. There are conditions of approval and findings that need to be made for the tentative subdivision map. On the subdivision map, we had forwarded you the most recent version of this. It provides a little bit more detail about some of the stormwater improvements that have been required, as well as street sections. And those, aside from giving those to you, we also have those available to the public at the entry to tonight's meeting. So there's just some minor tweaks from what was sent out as part of the Planning Commission packet. Since that time, we've just, again, tweaked it a little bit and wanted to provide you the most up-to-date map. So these are the findings. We won't go through them, but essentially the staff report outlines the ways that this subdivision complies with the mandated findings for an approval of a tentative subdivision map. Again, affordable housing, as we'd seen in the overview of the meetings that have occurred through council committees, has been an extremely important component of this project, both to the city council and to the city staff. We've spent a considerable amount of time negotiating with the school district the components of the affordable housing qualities. And essentially, these are what's been agreed to. So Parcel C will provide 150 affordable housing units ranging from 23% AMI to 60% AMI. 24 units will be set aside for residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. 12 of the units will be 23% AMI with the intention that these families can qualify to utilize the on-site Head Start facility. And then lastly, this was just recently negotiated, 20% affordable housing represents double the affordable housing required by the city's inclusionary ordinance. Parcel C will include the 150 units plus 2 managers units. 13.5% of the proposed units in parcel B through F at very low income levels. Parcels D through F will include up to 673. This is actually the part that we just recently kind of negotiated, up to 73 units at moderate income levels. And the affordable housing developer will offer wraparound support services for parcel C residents. Under the terms of the agreement, and I'm going through this in some detail because a lot of effort's gone into this, one market rate building may be built prior to the affordable housing and without moderate income units. After the first market rate building, each subsequent market rate building will be built with 10% of the units at moderate income. So these 2 slides provide in a nutshell what the city's agreed to. These are included in the development agreement, in the zoning, the repeated, essentially in those 2 places. And this is what we've worked out and are recommending to you to recommend to the City Council for adoption in this development plan. And again, the builders of the affordable housing, I believe, are represented tonight, Eden and Core, that is. And if there's any questions, they can answer those for the Planning Commission. This project has been, again, subject to CEQA, of course. The city, through a consultant, David J. Powers, has prepared an environmental impact report. There was a draft of the environmental impact report that was made available for public review this summer. Pursuant to state law, we circulated that, and that circulation period closed in September. There were, again, a number of comments that were received on that draft EIR. The comments were incorporated into what's called the final EIR, and the Planning Commission has both of those documents. They're actually, again, called the final EIR when in combination. And if there's any questions about that, David J. Powers is here to answer any questions as they might relate to, those questions may relate to CEQA. The last bullet identifies some of the significant environmental impacts that have been associated with the project, determined to be present with the project. And there are mitigation measures that, as required by CEQA, are contained in a mitigation monitoring reporting program. And that's also attached to the Planning Commission staff report. The city staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council approval of the general plan amendment, approval of the plan development zoning, approval of the subdivision map, approval of the design review. We've also recommended that you find the development agreement in conformity with the city's general plan, as well as recommend that the City Council certify the environmental document that's prepared for the project together with its mitigation monitoring reporting program. So if there's any questions, we can answer those. The school district also has a brief presentation that it would like to share with the Planning Commission. And we can either answer your questions first or let them give their presentation as you desire.
I think it would be best to have them do their presentation, and then it might answer or give us more idea of what we'd like to see. So do that. You guys feel that okay? Okay. Let them present.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Let's go ahead.
Oh, I can click. Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Chair Pirano and distinguished members of the Housing Commission, Planning Commission, excuse me. My name is Kalima Salahuddin. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Trustees for the Jefferson Union High School District, and I'm also one of the board members that's on the subcommittee and have been working for years on what I hope will be approved and be a fantastic addition to the place that I call home here in Daly City. So, again, these was our goals, and these are some of our wonderful Westmore graduates, but our goals were to build affordable housing services, to preserve the Head Start, to strengthen the community health, transform what will be a blighted site, which currently is a blighted site. When I joke with people when they come into the district office, I say we could make money on the side if we did a haunted house there. It's pretty scary. And it's a building that's been overused. It's no longer up to compliance, and to bring it up to compliance would be cost more than to just build a new district office. So that's what started this conversation. But most importantly, we want to improve our staff salaries, attract and retain staff, and we want to continue the amazing programs that have been developed in the 11 years that I've been a member of the Jefferson Union High School District Board. So this is one of the main reasons why I'm here. I don't want to be a developer. I want to be a school board member. But the state of California doesn't allow that. They do not fund education at the levels it should be funded, period, full stop. Every child should be funded around the $20,000 to $30,000 per student level. Students in New York are funded at the $25,000 to $30,000 per student level, per student. Alaska students get $17,000 per student. And that's nothing against Alaska, but it costs more money to do business here. We receive $14,000 per student. It is a short drive from here to San Mateo Union. It is a short drive. It makes no sense how we fund. Because you were born here, you automatically receive less for your education. At its core, it is inequitable and it's based in long-term, historically suppressive systems that are from redlining and how we value property. And so when I became a school board member, one of the things was to combat that because the majority of the students in color live in the blue part. And as a mother who's had 3 children go through this district, my children deserve the same quality education as every other child in San Mateo County. And so that is what we're trying to do. It's bigger than just salaries and what we pay teachers, except that's vital and very important, and our staff, that's extremely important. But it's also about the programs and the other things that that we need to offer, because while we're in the blue, our students come with some of the highest needs that the other school districts don't have to deal with or pay for. And then on top of that, we're in a desert when it comes to other other organizations that can give us money. So for example, San Mateo Union, their wellness professionals are paid for by their healthcare system. They receive money from the businesses that are in their district. They have a huge education fund. We have none of that. And we have to provide more services with less money. And so we're constantly trying to find ways in order to supplement our funding so that I can walk around in the street and tell people that when you put your child in the Jefferson Union High School District, they're going to receive a quality education. So we're talking and getting a deeper dive in some of the things that I'm talking about. Our school district is one of the largest distributors of food in the area. Not only in our food program, that we were giving free breakfast and lunch long before the state of California was paying for it. It's because hungry kids don't learn. And that is something that shouldn't be controversial. But until 2 years ago, the state of California was not providing funding for every child to eat. But we knew it was essential and we were doing that. On top of that, it's not enough for the students in our buildings to eat, but their families need to eat. So that's why at Jefferson, we started a food bank and we have continued it on. It was one of the major food banks during COVID where we were feeding over 1,000 families a week, sometimes a day during it. Commissioner Faapua can tell you a lot about that because she was one of the people that helped run it. And that was done out of our school sites. We're one of the few school districts that has a running healthcare center that offers health, both mental and physical. And we see people, not just in Daly City, but in South San Francisco, but there's a major focus on our kids because we know that if our students don't receive services in our school walls, sometimes they don't receive them. And then we've gone on through COVID to really build out a robust mental health program that's run by one of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my life. We've been able to hire someone in our district office that's focused on mental health and to ensure that the trauma that we all went through has taken a hard toll on our students. And we want to make sure that our school is a safe place for all of them. Currently, what's going on in the world is having a tremendous effect on our students. So again, how do we make sure that our students are healthy, both mentally and physically? And then we have a long list of other things. You know, we don't throw students away for a lack of a better term. In some of our other school districts, we don't expel students out of our program. So we have a wilderness program. We don't, no, 1 second, I'll pause. Go ahead, ask your question. You good? Do you need me to pause a moment? I'm okay. Oh, no, it's okay.
My question is, how are you related to Westmore?
How am I related to Westmore?
Yeah.
So Westmore has the distinction of being the only school that I didn't have a child at. So my kids have gone to all the other schools. But Westmore is in our school district. It's one of our comprehensive high schools. And in Daly City, that is Jefferson and Westmore. But then we also have Thornton High School, the Wilderness Program at Thornton. We have our adult programs at our district office. So
What is the difference between this JUSS and San Mateo? What is the gap? What is the difference? What do you think is the gap?
the big difference is how much money we get per student. Other than that, I feel like we are one of the better high school districts in the state. But
probably because Jefferson is getting less support from the parents compared to the San Mateo.
So no,
Union.
I don't think we get less support from the parents. I actually think we get more support
Because
from our parents.
Jefferson,
Just less
they all
financial.
like pre. That's why. We have to, education is not that pre. That's why I'm saying this.
Education is not that. I'm sorry.
Education is not totally free.
No, well, it is free, but
Well, I'm saying
yeah,
it's a hyperbole,
yeah.
meaning the parents should also support or engage in some sort of
We
support.
have. Oh, I hear you, and
Because
I think
everything is you want free. That's why.
no, I think we have extremely engaged parents. We wouldn't be here without our parents. We have very involved PTOs and PTAs at our school sites. Every time we've gone to the community and asked for a parcel tax, they have voted yes. And that's rare in San Mateo County, that our community has responded to us anytime we've asked. We have huge support. Again, like you're saying, education isn't free. I agree with you. A lot of the things that make a high school cost money, and we wouldn't be able to do those things without parent support. I remember when I was a parent, band parents make the food, help the kids get ready. I spent an extra, a ton of money to help support my child. If you're a sport parent, you're spending money. If you're any type of extracurricular activity, we wouldn't be able to have those if our parents didn't support. We have massive support from our parents, but you can't run government systems through charity, right? We can't run our government systems through handouts. We need ongoing sources of revenue in order to ensure that the same services that are here don't go away when that active parent leaves.
May I'm trying to figure out with his notes, just trying to understand the question, but I'm understanding that the possibility is, the question is, what is the difference between why we at Jefferson High School, right?
Get less
the high
money.
schools, or not just in high school, but the high schools,
Mm-hmm.
why we're at 14,000, whereas these other schools are at 21,000. There were more.
That's the question.
I think that's
Ah,
where
okay.
he was going.
Got it.
Is that kind of where you were going?
Okay.
I don't
So-
think it's personal, like a person, like me,
Why
a
not
parent. What's the reason?
bridge the gap?
So the reason
solution
why
on that.
is that it's about property values. So it's not what you sell your home for, it's what it's assessed for. Does that make sense? So when somebody comes, like a government official will come and say the assessed value of your house, so what you pay in taxes, it comes from what your value is, what your property is assessed at. And so property values in Daly City are assessed for lower amounts than property values in the southern parts of the county. So their properties, quote unquote, are worth more and get assessed for a higher value than properties here in Daly City. So we bring in less revenue, even though sometimes we have more houses.
But when the houses are sold, they're assessed, then the new owners are going to be paying what
If
houses are.
If the house is reassessed. So a lot of our homes here are passed down to family members. They don't get reassessed that often. And even in that reassessment, we're still bringing in, and you can look at the taxes, we're still bringing in, $40-50 million less than our neighbors in assessed value for our properties, even with similar numbers of houses.
Or more. More houses.
Yeah. So this is why education funding shouldn't be tied to property values. And again, this all goes back to redlining, right? And so usually communities that are made up of larger populations of color, their houses are assessed for less. There's been so many things where somebody who is a person of color will have their home assessed, and then they'll go to the home, they'll change everything out so it looks like a white person lives there, and the home is assessed for a higher value. There's tons of research that shows that homes in communities of color are just assessed at lower values. Right. So again,
That's the answer.
I wish we were living in a different world, but I'm functioning in the world that we're currently living in. So there's talk about how we spend our money. 75% of all of our funding, ever since I've been on the board, which has been 11 years, has been to employee salaries and benefits. And as anybody so first I will say that we have some amazing employees. And it breaks my heart that when you choose to work for a governmental agency, you just make less than corporate America, even though you have similar education, passion. But for these jobs, you're doing the work of protecting the community and you just automatically make less money. And so I want to ensure that even though we're never going to match San Mateo Union, that we're trying to offer a commensurate rate, a wage, so that people don't have to worry about how they're going to eat, where they're going to live. They can just worry about being employees of the Jefferson Union High School District. And then the other 25% goes to do all of the things that what I talked about earlier, building out our mental health, building out our CTE, our career technical education program, so really providing job skills. We're looking into dual enrollment in community college is something that we're building out right now. We have been able to do a lot of professional development that allows our teachers and students to do a lot more things. So education is really a build up, tear down system where we build up programs and then we dismantle them because of the recession. We're trying to make sure that we have ongoing funding so we can keep all the great programs that we built out over the past couple of years. And then again, we hear community feedback. We want to include a garden that can be sustained. We are not able to sustain the school garden, and we have no plans to do so, regardless of what happens here. We have no plans to keep the garden. So in order to continue to have a garden on this site, it needs to be incorporated into this plan. This is something that the developer can sustain. That's not something that we're able to do as a high school district, nor do we have the skills to do so. It could be accessible. It's ADA compliant. It's going to be open to the entire community, and it'll be part of the doubling of the green space that's going to be happening on this site. And then I'm going to now turn it over to our partners in our affordable housing, Eden Corps, to talk a little bit more about the affordable housing.
Thank you. And thank you all for the time tonight. I'm Teddy Newmeyer. I'm an associate director of affordable housing with real estate development with Eden Housing. I'm representing Eden, and we've got our partners here at Core, and we're the development team working on the 150 units of affordable housing that will be on Parcel C. Eden and Core are excited about our partnership, both with each other and with JUHSD, as we build much-needed housing in the community. Eden and Core have worked together on comparable projects, as both our companies bring a lot of strengths that I'll discuss in a second. Core Affordable Housing is a vertically integrated real estate development construction firm founded in 1978 that has over 40 years of experience developing innovative and high-quality affordable housing throughout the Bay Area. To date, Core has developed more than 5,000 units, and in the last decade, Core has developed 45 properties. They have an affiliated general contractor, Core Builders, which we're intending to use to build this project, and they've been helping us bring early-stage expertise to all parts of the project, ensuring cost-efficient, high-quality design that will stand the test of time. Since its founding, Core has been practicing green building and smart growth principles by focusing on redevelopment of infill sites. Core works closely with its architects, energy consultants, and builders to design and construct properties with careful attention to environmental impacts, energy conservation, and healthy living. Their community outreach philosophy stems from a genuine respect for neighbors and commitment to listen to and respond efficiently to stakeholder concerns and desires. Core's reputation for reliability, accountability, integrity that has driven a strong track record of success in identifying well-located housing sites, overcoming complex challenges to secure entitlements, and leasing completed developments. And then talk about Eden's role in this project and a little bit more about Eden. Eden's one of the oldest, most experienced affordable housing developers in the state. We're a mission-driven nonprofit serving low-income families, seniors, and people living with disabilities. We're established 55 years ago, just celebrated our 55th anniversary. And since then, we've developed, acquired, and rehabbed over 13,000 affordable units and currently serve about 22,000 residents across the state. Eden's work, something we're really proud of, is we go beyond just building these buildings. We actually have a management company and a resident services arm as well, and so we'll be managing and providing additional services, which I'll talk about in a second, to the entire, to all 150 units in Parcel C. And so together, this team, this integrated team brings a combined package of experience and expertise, which covers a spectrum of activities involved in developing, owning, managing, and servicing high-quality housing. This combined effort assures that the quality, design, and construction of the project is preserved through the careful long-term maintenance of the property and ongoing care and service to its residents. And so to talk a little bit more specifically about what we're going to be building in this project and who we can serve, here's just an example of some of the residents that could live in this property, and really showing the spectrum of area median or income levels that can be served at this site. And one thing we're really proud of here is that by having all of our affordable units in this one location, we're able to access a lot of additional funding sources, which allows us to bring kind of area median incomes as low as 23%. This is well below the 70% AMI requirement of the city's inclusionary housing ordinance, so we're really excited about that. Additionally, we're particularly excited about the 23% AMI units, and that's because that's a level that we'll be able to, those families will be able to utilize the Head Start facility. So that's on site that we'll be talking about a little more in a second. Additionally, on site at all of Eden Housing's properties, including this one, we'll have we've got an affiliate resident services company, and Eden Housing Resident Services Inc. will provide services to all of our residents. It says here, Eden Housing Resident Services Inc. strives to inspire hope by providing high quality, relevant, and impactful services coordination and program offerings to create stability and a path to economic empowerment for residents. And so we really enjoy kind of how much these services can create a community that lifts up all of our residents. And we do tailor these services to what's needed at the site. And so these are some examples of what will happen at this site. We'll have probably planning on having 2 on-site resident service coordinators, after-school programs, because our site our units will target families, job and technology training. You can see here, kind of, we've got computer labs in most of our buildings now, and we also are starting to have Wi-Fi throughout our buildings for our residents. Health and wellness education, economic empowerment training, community engagement, and then just information and ongoing referral hotline. And then in addition to the Eden Run services, we're partnering with Housing Choices, who will provide additional services to the 24 units that are set aside for residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we'll talk more about that.
So my son, who's going to speak here, he is autistic, and he is a client of Housing Choices. And I know there's been a lot of talk about segregation, but there's a lot of adults with intellectual disabilities who are segregated in their homes with their parents. They can't leave. There's nowhere to go. My son is on Social Security he also sells his art. And with that, he's able to take care of himself, but not able to go anywhere and afford rent. And he's 27 years old. I'm an awesome mom, but he didn't want to live with me forever. I'm shocked by that, but he wanted to move out. And rightly so. And then also the burden of what happens if anything happens to me? Where will he go? And so Housing Choices was able to first find him a place in San Jose, which was very far away, and switching county. So he had to do all his services in and anybody who has has to deal with county services with somebody that's receiving them knows the challenge that was to switch everything over. And now Housing Choice was able to find him a place in Redwood City. So he's back in a county he understands how to navigate. But I wish he could have found a place in his home in Daly City. But he can't live in a building that doesn't have wraparound services to help him. If there's an issue, he doesn't want to call his mom. He wants to just be able to go downstairs and talk to the people downstairs to help him, not have to make an appointment, have somebody come to him and go through all of those hoops. There's a person right downstairs, and there's multiple people in this this building. So I know there's been discussion about a lack of amenities for the people who are living in the affordable housing development, but it's the opposite. They're getting more. And they're getting more help and support. It's not enough to just drop someone in a certain income in a home and then just say you have a home and walk away. The turnover in affordable housing is high because of that. And so this, to me, is truly how we service people moving forward. And, if you go to any of their developments, you will see that people are thriving there. My son is, and he'll be able to tell you about it. And then the other piece is that we're having the Head Start move in this location as well. That was feedback from the city council. They were very clear with us. They want us to make space for that Head Start, and we listened to them, and we're doing so. And so I'm really happy about where we've landed with the development. And then these are all our supporters. We are supported by every single legislator. So Scott Wiener, State Senator Wiener, Assemblymember Ting, State Senator Josh Becker, Congressmember Kevin Mullen, Supervisor David Canepa, former State Superintendent of Education of Tom Torlakson, and then a host and list of other organizations. Lastly, I just want to say, I'm coming towards the end of my role in the school board. And I'm extremely proud of the work that I've done. And I'm glad that I'm ending on this. I'm so proud of the work that our district has done collaboratively with the city. And I really hope this is a model moving forward of us working together in service of our community members. And I know that there's been so many decisions that I make as a school board member, but there's never been a decision I made that everyone was 100% happy with it. And I know there's people that are unhappy with this. But we did our best to serve and to reach as many people as possible. But the key element here is we need to be able to have this be a revenue generator for the district because we have no other way to raise money outside of raising taxes. And as a board, we don't want to put another burden on our community of raising taxes higher. We know we've kind of reached the threshold there. So if we don't raise money this way, if you take away our ability to use our land, you've left us with nothing else. And I hate to put it in those terms, but that is the level of desperation that we're at. And just like our workforce housing, that was not a solution. That was one part of the solution. And this is another part of the solution. And there's many other parts of the solution. And they all have to fit together in order for us to stay sustainable. So I'm hoping that you will appreciate the work that you've done and support us in this endeavor. Thank you for your time.
I want to say something.
Go ahead.
Point of inquiry, Madam Chairman. Who is Mr. David Shiver? Is he around? David Shiver or Kathleen Diohep? Oh, okay. Can I ask you one few questions, sir?
Why don't you come up? Thanks. Let him introduce him. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and who you are? Is that okay?
My name's David Shiver, principal with BAE Urban Economics.
Your Honor, Madam Chairman, you're commissioned by the Jefferson Union to do the study, right? You're from BAE, right? BAE.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit flabbergasted with what you have done to the study. I am not, as a member of the Planning Commission Academy, your study is, I would say, very dedicated to Daly City. You know why? You made a lot of comments about Daly City, which is, I would say, a very shabby one. Just to be honest with you, sir. I would like to first ask you a question. Mm-hmm. How would you class Daly City as a city?
We looked at the office market and
Yes.
for
That's
the
office market
applicant.
assessment and fiscal impact review.
Yes.
I'm always good in details, especially reading a lot of this. I happen to be a graduate also of economics as well.
Mm-hmm.
And how would you describe Daly City? Is it first-class city, second-class city, third-class city?
it's a great city and it's
No, just A, B, C.
ABC?
Yeah.
Well, it's an A-class city.
Oh, it is entirely different to your study
Our study was concentrating on office
because
market.
BAE is even, I would say, award-winning. But, you know, when I was reading your study, you were comparing apple to orange, like Daly City to South City, which you said that Daly City has no hope to be a good commercial place, right?
For Class A office space, we pointed out
Yes.
that this particular
And
site,
and you also wrote that about fiscal negativity on Daly City.
no, we showed a strong fiscal impact from the applicant's project that would enhance the city's revenues.
I'm not sorry to say this, sir, because I love Daly City, and you try to, I would say not malign, but nearly malign Daly City
We
on your
actually,
study.
we actually looked at just the marketability of the applicant's site for a different alternate use, which was office space.
That's not how to write a thesis, Your Honor. Whereas you're saying that South City is a greater city compared to Daly City. You didn't even say that. What is this? Westlake. Or no, you said Westlake and Saramonte Center is even losing. But mind you, I can cite to you now. Saramonte Center is doing better than Tampuran and Stonestown. In fact, more people are coming here.
That's
I
great.
don't know why you did that study. Is it just to shine your rank or what?
No, our mission with that study was to assess the applicant's site for Class A office space development, and what we found was there are other sites in Daly
So
City.
you don't want Daly City to develop as a commercial place?
No, we actually pointed out that there's very good sites near your BART stations that would be superior
No,
to the applicant's
that
site.
was not what you written here in your later H. In fact, it was even a fiscal negative. You didn't even mention that we are very near Seramonte, which is walking distance. You said this will never. No, anyway, this is a debate, right? Parliamentary interpellation. It is not competitive location. This is what you write.
That's right. This particular site would not be
Seramonte del Rey
competitive.
site is not even good one. The site has no overall potential development. You said that. With Class A. Now you're saying this is Class A. Are you trying to pull our legs here, Your Honor?
No, there's a difference between a city being great and a particular site being great for a particular use. So that was the scope of our study and what we found.
It has no biotech or medical. We cannot even compare with South City because they have a 500 acres of biotech hub, whereas Daly City has no chance at all. That is what you written.
Yeah, we thought you had a competitive disadvantage because of location for this site, but
That's
you're,
not what you wrote, Your Honor.
yeah.
And by either even commercial developer or corporate user. It is just a bedroom community. That is what you're saying here. You mean to say we don't have any chance to develop as a city?
Oh, no, you have many good attributes.
Can you probably, if you're serious about what you're saying, can you correct that study, Your Honor?
Yeah, we can certainly revise.
Just correct it. Because I'm for development. I am for development of the city. And people does not know that you have written this. And if somebody who is learned and read this, for sure, a lot of people will say, oh, Daly City is not good. You know why there is not such development in the city? A lot of protests coming out here, especially the so-called traditionalists. The old people here does not want any height more than 150. To be, we can build as much as 50 floors or 20 floors if it is possible. That is my analysis, Your Honor.
We can certainly make revisions to incorporate some of the very positive things that the city offers to the commercial community and to the region. So no problem with that.
Right.
What?
I got it.
Well, this is supposedly an interpellation that we have to speak up, right? Right, sir?
Yes, certainly. And
Can you just correct your study, your award-winning BAE economics studies?
yes, we can certainly revise
Certainly,
it.
if you can correct that study, and you do business in Daly City, we welcome you.
Okay. Thank you
We
very
have
much.
a lot of department heads here. If they read it, probably they will not consider you as a partner, right?
That's correct. And
Thank you very much.
thank
sir.
you.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
just want to just go with what I'm hearing so that people understand. So his concern is because, and I'm guessing, right, what I'm hearing is this could impact other developers coming to Daly
Yes,
City.
that's what I'm
That's the
saying.
concern. And I'll tell you, out of all of us, he'd have us in 100 stories, okay? So I just want to let you know. But his concern is valid in that the city of Daly City, we want to see, us to develop. And that there's places for us to do so. And if someone reads your study, they may interpret it in a negative way, and it would hurt us.
It is really a negative way, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
so that's all. And we appreciate
Yeah.
you taking the time to adjust that.
Please correct your study.
Yeah, because we welcome, we welcome.
Yeah, and there are definitely
Or
sites.
supposedly,
Yes,
supposedly an
absolutely. I
expert.
know, I get it.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's good.
We get it. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks for explaining.
Yep, no problem.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. I hear where you're coming from, and it's important. The city is important. So, okay, so at this time, before we move on, I just wanted to just personally say a few things. I've been asking and speaking to a lot of people. My concern has been transportation, has been parking. I want to thank you. I noticed on one of the diagrams you indicated the blue line, so you indicated where people could catch buses, right? We know the freeway's right there. The other concern is parking. Parking is a big concern because as much as the state and environmentalists want us to ride bikes and to take public transportation, there's going to be many people who say, but I have a car, right? And so when we're looking at 1,200 units and the possibility of having even one or two people with a vehicle, right? And people say, well, I'm going to move in there. It's an apartment. It's not like it's something where you say, well, I'm going to give you a great deal. Come live here, get rid of your car, ride a bike, go catch the bus. That's a big concern. I will say that I appreciate seeing the documentation so far that we're looking at parking. Because of the fact that, as many of us know, the state of California has taken away some of the requirements that we enjoy as a city in many cities in the state of California, which is, just our creature comforts, right? They want us to build. They don't really mind if there's no parking, but the residents of Daly City do, and that's our job here. So I don't live in that area. I didn't live in the other, last meeting we were dealing with something in Geneva area, and I don't live down that way. But my concern was parking and is parking. So I want to say, first of all, I liked seeing that there was parking. I'm hoping, all of us cannot guarantee it, besides the first build, I'm guessing. After the first build, I don't want to say it's a crapshoot. There's not a nice way to say it, but it's a crapshoot. So I want to say I like to see that there's parking, and let's hope that each developer sees the value of giving parking for the people who want to live there. The other thing is people can point out Juniper Serra as buildings. We don't have anything close to 14 stories anywhere. So that's a huge concern. I will say that seeing what you showed us, the drawings where things are coming, because of the curve, because of where everything lands, even though it may be 14 stories, it won't look like 14 stories. And, that's a concern because, at the end of the day, this is a 99-year lease. We're all going to be in the cemetery or somewhere in the ocean in 99 years. I guarantee it. None of us are going to be here in 99 years. But I'd like to see that whatever we decide to do, we decide to do it for the best of the teachers, for the students, for the residents, right? For the city of Daly City. So that's my biggest concern as I sit here. I did talk about the garden. I wanted to say was, I know it's not as big as what they're used to, but I was glad to see that you still had that open space and you had the garden in the diagram as well. That was really nice. I liked the garden, so personally, and so thank you for that. So parking was an issue. The height is an issue, was an issue. I feel better seeing what I saw today. But again, I'm guessing, and I'm just going to make an understanding, is that right now, what we can guarantee, almost guarantee, is that the first phase, the first building that we build, this is going to look nice and it's going to be with everything we talked about. After that, it's just really going to depend on the developer. Is that correct? Do we have, do you want to come up this again? Sorry about that. Kalima, do you, as the school board, have a right to choose who the developer is and give a little what you want on your site? They can't just come in and go, forget it, no more parking, forget it, no more green space, we don't want to do the green space. I mean, can you explain?
No, not right now. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Builder's Remedy, but not right now, not for us. I mean, Andy and I took a lot of intention with this. You know, we were thinking about, like, what do we want? Like, in 99 years, what do we want this to look like? You know, as I've spoken to people, you know, there's a good possibility that a lot of our students are going to live here. So I don't want them to live in anything that doesn't look like high quality. And then just thinking about myself, right? You know, I live here, and like I've told you, I'm not in the affordable housing market. I'm in the market rate housing market, and it has been a struggle for me to find quality market rate housing. You know, my daughter's here and can tell you about, it took me, 4 months, and I needed help to get someone to rent a affordable housing, a market rate housing house to me as a single mother with 3 kids. You know, especially when 20 other people are showing up every time a house goes on the market. I was not something quote unquote seen as desirable, even though I had, my superintendent as a reference, Supervisor Canepa as a reference, and they were still telling me no. Like, my credit score is amazing, and they were still telling me no. And that's because they have the ability to do so because of the lack of market rate housing. So I want to build something that I can possibly live in right in the future, and I want to live in something that's quality. And I want the whole neighborhood to be like that, both affordable and market rate.
So so talking about market rate and all that, who maintains these apartments? Because they're not condos. So if you condos, you would have to, you would have an association. The association would make sure things are maintained. So are we saying the developer and those?
The developer will be responsible for maintaining their property and to keeping it looking, top shape. But again, these are business people who want to offer a quality business product, and people can choose where they live. I don't assume that somebody who's going to invest the level of money that they're going to invest in this building to build it is then going to let it fall to disrepair.
You hope not, right?
Well, I'm looking at other buildings, and we'll be looking at that history the same way we looked at the history of Eden Corps and looked at like what they've been in the business for decades. We went and toured some of their properties to see what they looked like. The same thing that we did for the developer for our workforce housing. We did the homework. We went and looked at it. It's not enough to just come and make a presentation. We want to see, you can actually go to the sites and see what they've done. And we'll put that same level of detail and be as meticulous as we have in the past moving forward.
Perfect. So just a question, 'cause somebody asked that, I think you mentioned it, but are there any laws or anything that and we did speak about this, you and I, and the need to place all the low income in one space so that it stays that way. But are there any laws against that? I mean, I don't know. Laws against doing something like that where somebody's going to say, you're putting all the low income in it, but you're not. I mean, it sounds like you're doing 10%. Besides that, you're doing 10% in the other buildings.
In the other buildings.
So it's all spread around.
Right.
But there's no issue with regards to doing that. It's just making it more convenient. I'm trying to understand.
And so again, the ordinance has called for a specific thing, but there's no law. And again, I just call in a question.
Point of
You know,
order, Madam
yes.
Chairman.
Sorry.
I think there is a law, the California Density Bonus Law. How will, Mr. Michael, how will they be affected about this density bonus law?
To my knowledge, state density bonus law does not speak to the issue of, would not prevent a majority, if you will, of the affordable units being provided in any singular building.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Because
Fairly certain.
especially parking, it can be affected. I don't know. I have here the law, but density bonus law, so more or less. We better revisit this. I don't want to argue anymore.
No problem.
We're not the only, we're not the first to do this in the county. There are other places in the county, including, I believe, San Mateo just finished a development that is that's built in the same way with the affordable in one building.
Point
And then
of
the
order,
market rate.
Madam Chairman.
Sorry.
You were overrun by the law because this project has been there for so long.
What-
Now, this California density bonus law is effective only by January 2023. Have you read about that?
Yes, and I'm saying there's recent projects, recently completed, that have been also done in the same way. Not talking about things that have been done in the past. I'm talking about buildings that are building now, both here. There's a project in San Francisco. And the reason why I know about these things is because we went and looked at them and talked to the people
Well,
that
actually,
are.
I'm saying this because this favors you.
What was that?
It favors the project, is what it
I
sounds.
don't know. It's up
Oh,
to
well,
you.
of course, yeah. I
And
mean,
it's favoring the project.
yeah, I know. I get. Of course, I'm here in support of the project, but I also wouldn't lie to you. I'm not going to tell you something that's false because you could just go look it up. And the other thing, Mr. Story, is that we are both public officials. We may do business together in the future, and I want you to be able to trust me. So, and
I'm happy to speak
Yeah.
to this also about, Eden and Core both built in these master plan developments. We always build the affordable housing in one building. Not only is it, we do it for a variety of reasons, it's certainly legal, but it allows us to all the financing effectively requires you to build it that way. And I think, not just the finance requires it, but I think we've explained a lot of the reasons why it benefits, our ability it affects it. It helps our residents a lot too to all be together in one building. But I think towards the legal part, it's to my knowledge, none of the new density bonus laws require you to spread that out. It wouldn't make sense because a lot of the financing that also comes through the state requires you to all be in one building.
And the other thing I understand too in our conversation is that in 30, somebody who has in 30 years couldn't say, I'm going to make it all regular housing and kick everybody out. So that is my understanding, correct?
there is flipping. There's loopholes that allow people to convert affordable housing into market rate.
Right.
So this is the way that we can ensure that these stay affordable in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that there is standalone affordable housing in Daly City all over the place, right? I was on the board of Habitat for Humanity. There is a building that I helped put the roof on that is standalone affordable housing. There's a senior building that is standalone affordable housing that is surrounded by market rate. It's not anything that's new. It's been happening even in this city for a very long time.
So, and thank you for answering that. And with regards to Head Start, is Head Start going to be the same size it was or is it going to be the same amount of students would be able to use it and all that? Okay, that's a good
Even more,
question.
and they will have a lot. They'll be working together with the developers to design. Right now it's going to be a vast improvement because right now all that they can afford is converted portables. So this will be a building, right, with a real playground that's not going to have to worry about the weather and rain and all the other things that have hampered them in the past. It also will be more secure. So I think they're very excited about the prospect of a brand new building that they can help design.
Yeah. Well, thank you both. Thank you for that. And Michael, so the question, and I keep going back to that because it's a big concern. If everyone, who lives in Daly City here? Okay. So what is the biggest pain trying to move your car when you know street cleaning's coming? Right? It's the biggest pain. trying to move a car. And if you have two cars, it's worse. And if you don't make it, like today, I'm not gonna find parking. If I don't find parking, I'm gonna park blocks away. If my husband parked in the driveway, But anyway, the point is, it would be nice if we could at least try on your end, or who we find as a developer, because we can't force it, right? If we could find developers as you go to at least give us a minimum amount of parking for people,
And as you said, and as the staff has said, we're not required to put parking in there. We've kept it in there.
Yes.
Because we've had the community feedback, and that was the number one thing. And also, I agree with you. I can't tell you about the 6:45 a.m. get up in my pajamas to go move my car. So I understand the issue.
Yeah.
We have kept the parking in there. The parking is in the plan.
Yeah, and that's important for me to say that, because if anyone's listening or anybody's going to talk about it, that's the biggest thing I think we're going to get from people who are in the neighborhood when this project happens. The other thing I want to say is I want to thank you too, because the fear, when I hear this amount of stories, I go looking around Daly City counting. Oh no, and then you go to South City and you're counting. You go down San Bruno and you're counting. You're thinking, oh my God, it's going to be that tall, double. You know what I'm saying? And that's a huge concern. So knowing that it comes into an area where it brings it down so it doesn't look like this sore thumb sticking, sticking out of the wall. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I move now for the open public hearing.
Let's do it. No, wait, before I do that, do either of you have any questions before we
I'm sorry.
open it up for, no. Before we open up for public hearing, I'm hoping we answered a lot of our thoughts and questions at this point. Do you guys feel comfortable if we move forward on the,
If they want to ask questions, they can.
Yeah, I just have a few concerns.
sure, go ahead.
Is there gonna be like any private security or at the Ceremony Del Rey, or it's gonna be DCPD patrolling the area? It's gonna be a very dense neighborhood,
Is your question in the interim of development or after development?
At the after, like when everything's all settled in, if it's gonna be,
That's probably going to be determined at the time.
okay, that's
yeah,
about to
at
make
the
sure,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that that's really.
Okay,
the
a little bit
district
thinking
has
ahead.
They can provide that. yeah.
Okay, good
Sorry about
question.
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank Kalima for that beautiful presentation. I know how it feels to be on a board member, trying to figure out ways how to allocate funds for our staff and especially for our children. I also sit on the Bayshore School District, and it's a hassle. It's a lot of work, and just seeing the numbers that if the students in San Mateo County, San Mateo can deserve to have that, so is our students, and so is our thriving, hardworking staff. So I thank you for the board members of Jefferson, Union, and to the parents. I was flooded. I was at a conference for the board. Some of us, were sitting in that conference for 3 days. And the emails that I received from all the supporting community members, whether it's from the teachers or from the staff, or, it was beautiful. I had to put my phone down during dinner time. My kids said, "Mom, your phone keep on bipping," because of these supporters. So I want to thank you. Thank you for everybody that sent to me a letter. I read some of them, and some of them were just the same. It's just your name. That was I admire, and I thank you for that. That's the reason why I'm sitting at this seat, is to look at those things. I want to say that this building might bring good to the community. And I know my colleague right there, we always have a thing with, I don't like heights, as Pirano was mentioning, but it's good to have all these intelligent and architect and these developers that they build these buildings because they've already researched that this is going to come from the community. Oh, it's too high. It's going to block the sunlight to my house. So, but I appreciate all the work that is put together here. Maybe in the future, maybe later on I will have a question, but I just want to thank you for that.
Sounds good. I think we're just about ready to close our comments and open, I should say, stop or close this portion of the meeting and then start calling up people. If any of you are saying the same thing, you're more than welcome to stand up, 4 or 5 of you, and just say, this person's talking for me. We can get done quicker. Well, only because she and the rest of us got all these emails, and you might have gotten a note from me that said, thanks for sending this email. And a million kept coming. And before I came to this meeting, I was still sending, thank you for this. So,
Madam Chairman, before I
yes, go
start,
ahead.
I would like to say that we are listening to your voice. We received about 291 comments, and we fully subscribe to your idea. And for us, it is great for Daly City to have a development, especially if it's a mixed use. I like it mixed use because more or less people can have not just for residential, but at least for office or stores that can mix. There should be a mixture of development. Not only the height, but at least just like if you have noticed Emeryville used to be a dilapidated place, but now the Bay Street is 7 floors. First floor, second floor is stores. Third and fourth is office and then residential up. If we can afford to do that, then I'm okay with that. Thank you very much.
And our biggest concern, me personally, okay, because people must think I'm like, when I was asking a lot of questions, I was against the project. I'm not against the project. I'm against it's not against. I am for looking at all the angles that we have, all the questions being said, because we're here to represent the city and the residents. So it's our job to ask these questions. And so again, thank you for everybody who has spoken so far, and thank you for giving input as we move forward. So do I have to, here. So we're going to open up to public, and what I'm going to do is you have 2 minutes. Again, if a group of you have the same thing to say, you're more than welcome to stand up but I will do this if you go over 2 minutes, okay? Like if you're into 3 minutes, it's gonna go loud, okay? So I'm gonna ask for Cata Gomez to come up, please. Oh, another one. Thank you, sir. Is Cata here? Awesome.
Horshapuhi. My name is Catalina Gomes. I would like to acknowledge that we are on Ramaytush unceded ancestral homeland. I am a descendant from the village of Tamigtok along Clara Creek in what is now known as Pacifica. This is my ancestral homeland. It is unceded. That means there was never any compensation for the taking of this land. This is on stolen land. I have visited the garden that exists there now. It is an urban forest with many mature trees that cannot be replaced. It lies on your map in your section F. I have some questions about that. I would like to see that building modified to protect the wildlife that live there in that green space. There are many creatures who call that home already and will be displaced. And a few boxes will not replace mature trees. They will not. I know there's other ways of funding. I'm not against the project. I just think that we need to protect this valuable ecosystem that already exists there. I've heard a lot about affordable housing. Haven't heard anything about luxury housing. Is there luxury housing on this site? And is it in that section F? I would like to hear, I think that the height should be considered also. I would like to see some modifications. and consideration for the natural world that exists there now. Shishpanane.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, Clayton, are you still here? I almost couldn't read it. Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good, how are you guys? Good evening, Chair Peranio, Vice Chair Paniza, Commissioners Vapua and Satori, and City staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Clayton Koo, and I am urging the City Planning Commission to support the Surmind Up project as presented to you tonight. I'm a lifelong Daly City resident. I literally grew up 4 blocks actually from the project site. I'm a Jefferson Elementary School District graduate, Jefferson Union High School graduate. I volunteer for local and multiple nonprofits in Daly City, and I'm a believer that Daly City's best days still lie ahead of us. As a former school board member representing this Daly City community for the past 7 years, I've seen firsthand the successes in our schools, as well as the struggles that our schools face in fully funding our schools, making sure that every teacher gets fully paid and fairly paid what they deserve, and making sure that every program and resource are available to every student in our community, and to ensure that they can actually learn to the best potential. And I believe that the Surmind Up project does exactly just that. This project will allow GUHSD to raise additional funding to support our district, fully fund our schools, enhance our students' education, and in addition, this project provides so much more for direct community support. Whether it is to create more affordable housing for our hardworking families in Daly City, it creates more park space for residents, it creates more pedestrian and bike safety routes and paths for our community, new retail businesses to serve this community as well too, and utilizes extremely underutilized space at the Surmind Up project site right now. So I urge you to all please vote yes on this project tonight. I understand that your role is to make the most sound decisions in a way that serves the Daly City community best and in the broadest way possible. This project literally does just that. For you all, for me, and for over 100,000 neighbors in our community. Thank you for your time, and please vote yes. Thank you.
Maurice Goodman?
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Maurice Goodman, and like Clayton, I too went to Jefferson Elementary School District, graduated Jefferson class of 91. And I'm here, I'm an elected official, I'm the vice mayor of the city of Millbrae, but I am not here in that capacity. I am here in the capacity of the acting president of the NAACP of San Mateo. As an association, the NAACP stands firmly against segregation. In relation to this project, we applaud the 10% low-income housing at all but one parcel and the 100% of the 150 in another parcel, and for a total of 200 affordable housing units for our residents, or for the residents of Daly City. We encourage any final approval development, however, focuses on cross-class interactions through architectural design. In closing, as acting president and the sole voice of the San Mateo NAACP, its leadership, and members, I am honored to support this project, its approval, and the students, faculty, and staff that this project will support. Thank you.
Thank you. Gia from Housing Choices.
Hello, my name is Gia, and I'm speaking on behalf of Housing Choices, a nonprofit dedicated to assisting individuals with developmental disabilities in securing and maintaining affordable housing, who also plans to be providing the services to residents with developmental disabilities in this project. So one of our clients Her name is Jean Wright. She currently faces the imminent threat of homelessness. Jean was initially residing with her family in Daly City, but due to circumstances beyond her control, she was displaced and now resides in Patterson with extended family members. However, Jean's immediate family of 4 cannot sustainably live forever with their extended family in Patterson due to just like the space of the place and just not being near their comfortable environment that they are so used to. They want to return to Daly City, a familiar environment with their resources, services, and supportive community. The Serramonte Del Rey redevelopment project could be like a shining light for Jean and others in similar predicaments who have been displaced or are facing homelessness due to their disability that they were born with. People with disabilities deserve the opportunity to remain in the communities they grew up in, preserving their connections and familiarity. By providing affordable housing options in Daly City, we not only support individuals like Jean, but also contribute to the well-being of those with disabilities, hardworking class families, and teachers throughout the community because it will generate so much more revenue for the school. The structure of Serramonte Del Rey project includes the walkable, bikeable, safe, family-friendly neighborhood with a shopping street. This structure fosters a sense of belonging, stability, and continuity for individuals who call Daly City home. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Gia. I'd like to call up Rob Chu. Sorry, Chua. Thank you. Rob?
Hi,
Well-
Commissioners. Good to see
Welcome.
you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, thank you for having me. My name is Rob Chua.
Chua.
Like many folks here, I wear many hats, but here I come humbly today as a former student of Jefferson Union High School District. I grew up in Fairmont, right down the street from the project. And I was so hard to see Kalima's amazing presentation because it shows the self-determination of a district to try to support itself and make itself sustainable in the future. There are limited pathways for school districts to make money and be sustainable. And so it feels like full circle for me to be a student of the district and come back to advocate for the district, having served in different roles professionally. But here today, I feel like this is such an important existential cause that we're all working on together. The cause to develop housing, affordable housing for people to live and thrive in Daly City. It's an important one. So I know that this is a big decision for you all today. And I'm so honored to be here to support this project. Thanks.
Thank you. Melissa Kalstrom?
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Melissa Kallstrom. I live at Serramonte Ridge Apartments. My son goes to school at Summit Shasta. For the 300 feet for tenants, it would be nice for the people to have that information that actually live there. There have been classes at the garden since I moved in, and I moved in 2015. Lawrence was working at the alternative school and was giving classes for therapy in the garden. And Summit Shasta until the school board told them to get out. They basically have made it like a prison. And my son says that the kids don't want to go in there into the garden because it looks like a prison. And it makes them very uncomfortable with the security guards overlooking them with a microphone facing right into the garden. The discrimination for people of low income in one building, I don't think is a good way for people to live. There are BMRs in my apartment building. After 20 years, the leasing office told the people that have the BMRs, they tried to bully them to get them out. they should have been grandfathered in, but they tried to get them out so they could get for market rate into the apartment. If they're going to be landlords, this is what I deal with at Saramonte Ridge. The complex is falling into disrepair. There are cockroaches. The garage doors don't work. There's water leaks. And the people's, that the maintenance are not very good. And I tell them, look, there's going to be water coming down. And they say, yeah, there is, but it's not coming down now.
Thank you. And I just want to confirm that building, that's not belong to you guys, right?
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does?
Yep.
It does.
They
That-
are the landlords.
Yeah. That- Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I get this right, I'm sorry.
Read.
Yeah, I got it. Kareem Tulloch, Tulloch, Self-Housing Choices. Good evening.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kareem Tulloch, and I'm a resident of Redwood City. And sorry.
It's okay. Take your
Yeah.
time.
There's-
I won't buzz you, okay?
Yeah. This is gonna.
You guys.
It's not like.
You just can tell them who you are and where you live now.
Okay, so got one down. Yeah. I'm just gonna talk about how I've been about like housing choices and everything, and how like I've been like a part of that. And so like I think that housing choices has been like a helpful resource in like helping me to find a new home. So yeah. So while it wasn't great at first, when I like first moved out, I was in like San Jose. So but now I'm back in the county. So yeah, been doing great so far.
That's perfect, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking. I'd like to call up Nick, and I don't want to butcher your name, Nick, Ochapinto?
Ochapinti, thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay. So I've seen this presentation like a million times in the last 3 years. It really hasn't changed. Introduce myself. I'm from Daly City. I'm a former student of the high school district. I'm born and raised here. I'm a former board trustee on the high school district and the only trustee to oppose this project. Because everything you see here and anybody in Daly City seeing this on YouTube, live or anywhere else, already knows. And from the show of hands in here that people can't see on camera, only about 10 hands, maybe 15 tops raised when they asked who was from Daly City. I'm looking at board members in this crowd who have, from the beginning, lied to our community and to myself, withheld information about this project, and bulldozed Westmore Park behind closed doors with meetings that have no documentation, none of which I received upon receipt of that after the park was bulldozed. So if you're wondering in the Westmore and Saramonte community why your park no longer exists, you could thank these board members and everybody else who stood by quiet. There are a lot of signs in the crowd here, too, that say, save our schools. That's a lie, because if you want to save your school, you'll be saving Saramonte Del Rey right now, which is a school right across from Shasta, where our students protested this entire development for years, to the point where the board misappropriated $500,000 to police that area, to put up cameras, lied to me about where the camera's going to go and why they need to be there. And I've opposed this project ever since it's been presented in 2021. And so this project is going to happen in some way, shape, or form. Anybody from Daly City has pride about Daly City, so I appreciate calling to accountability any professional who stands in this community or in this room to talk about Daly City like it is lower class than it's supposed to be. Segregation is not okay. Separate but equal housing is not okay in any way, shape, or form, no matter what loophole you're looking at. To all of our workers here, appreciating all the work you put in here, this union contract will happen, but it should be happening on the right terms. There's a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this. And to respect working class people in our community, we need to do this the right way. We need to go back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexis Lewis. Hi.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. I didn't have an entourage, so I'm just gonna.
It's okay.
I'm just gonna take about a minute.
Sure.
I want to urge the Planning Commission to support the Ceremony Del Rey Development Project. I'm supporting this project because it will benefit students, teachers, and staff, and it will help reduce the number of teachers relocating from this community due to the high cost of living. I believe this project will have a positive impact on the community students and their families. And I am a firm believer in that anything benefiting students and children is a good thing. This project will also help the city meet the community's housing needs. I wanted to say too that I am an elected official and I belong to a lot of organizations, but I'm only representing myself tonight. And I want to thank Kalima for all the hard work that she's done on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Ambrose, please.
We're gonna save time and do two.
It's a tag team effort.
Yeah, so you could, I'm Melissa Ambrose, I'm Lori Hughes.
So if I come up with you, I'll just
That's right.
pass you up. Lori
Yeah.
Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that. Go ahead.
I'm just here as the wellness coordinator for Jefferson Union High School District, so the slide that had all the mental health services on it, I work with. And I just want to say that the needs are not decreasing. The needs are increasing. And I'm privileged and fortunate enough to be able to afford to work in this district, but many of my colleagues are not. And they can leave this district and start at close to double with what we pay. So I'm here because I really care about our students. I love them. I've been in the district 25 years, and I'll do anything to support the students that live in this area and deserve the equity that the students that live 20 minutes south get.
I'm a retired educator, and I'm here to support the students who live in Daly City. They deserve the best. They are the best. And we should do everything we can to give them the best. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Okay. Nancy Brisbane.
By proxy, somebody put my name in. Nancy Loxamana from Brisbane. So I am here as a concerned citizen who has read, reviewed, and commented on the draft EIR. I want to clear the clutter on some of these percentages. This project is 80% above median market rate, 80%. So they want to talk about 20%. A 20% affordable includes medium income. And it only includes 13.5% low and very low income. Please consider this in regard to Daly City. And sir, I thought the same comment when I read that other report. And I'm not a member of Daly City, but having gone to the garden as much as I have and studied this program, this project, I am concerned about it. 53%, this is in your housing element, 53% of Daly City's households do not meet the moderate level income. and we're doing 13.5% for this population. 10% of this, 13.5% of this project being low or low income is significantly lower than the Daly city target of 42% for the low and very low income. Who are you catering to? It is not going to be the Daly City households. One of the slides had affordable people, and the person in the right corner was a $91,000 engineer. You think that's an affordable customer for that low income? And let's clarify one other point, Madam, is that all of the low and very low are in one building, parcel C. That is a fact. The 10% or the 6% of medium is being scattered around, and there was a mistake, Michael, in the in one of your notes here. It says that the 10% will be distributed around all of them, but it's not being distributed in number B. And please, no artificial turf like they have in the teacher housing. That's disgusting.
Thank you. Oh, this one. Nancy, we're going to put your correct last name on there. What was your last name?
LACSAMANA.
LACSAM. You're writing. Write it down. Here we go. Hold on. We're going to try this again. So LACSAM. ANA, because Brisbane is where you're from. We mustn't confuse you. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, you can do that. May I have Kiana Simmons? Kiana? K-I-N-A. There you are. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm well.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Kiana Simmons. I am an organizer with the Housing Leadership Council. We work with communities and their leaders to build and preserve quality, affordable homes. For the past few years, my organization has stood by Daly City leaders to develop this proposal. And I'm here tonight with those same leaders to ask you for your support. Serramonte Del Rey is not only a critical piece of the city's housing plan, but a lifeline for JUHSD, the youth they serve, and vulnerable populations like those with developmental disabilities. By approving this proposal, you bring us closer to a Daly City where all individuals can access affordable homes. Thank you for your leadership. I hope we can get this done.
Thank you. Lori Hughes, we already spoke, right? Okay, because you're in there twice. I don't know how you did that, but okay. Oh, wait, I know how you did that. That's how I did that. I moved my pile. Okay, Simmons. Okay. Debbie Santiago. Santiago. That is correct. Debbie? That's how I did it.
Hello, I'm with the Washishu Tribe of Nevada, California.
And get closer, please. There you go.
Yeah. I'm with the Washishu Tribe of Nevada, California, and also with the American Indian Cultural Advisory Council. And I had lived in Ceremony Ridge for a while because I lived in another home where the owners kicked me out of being disabled and were elders. And there was no help from the city whatsoever. I had to get outside help from Daly City, and we were homeless for a while. And it's 17% more of American Indians who are homeless. And in any of this area here, and in San Francisco and so on. We lived in Ceremony Ridge for a while. Everything they said, it is terrible. And that all that partial up there where the medical building Jefferson High School owns. And I have to tell you, during the pandemic, the garden was a safe haven for myself and my family. And we also had ceremony there. And I also was representing the elders when we went to talk to the school district about what we can do to save the garden. I'm not against most of the housing here, but I don't see how 17% is going to represent American Indians. And the garden is part of that, what I'm trying to say in the ecosystem. But when you take away something that is a part of Mother Earth, that it's gotten a second chance, and the school district never even looked twice at it over the 20 years. And during the time we were working, they were not always very nice to our organization, which we grouped together with the Community Garden Alliances. And when my health became bad, they did not want to work with them, and they didn't work with us. So I think you should think twice about having another part of the garden there, because it's not big enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Nels Delander.
Hello, Planning Commission. My name is Nels Delander. I'm a representative of the NorCal Carpenters Union. The redevelopment of Sierra Madre Del Rey campus is a project that can change lives of so many people who live in the area. But how about the construction workers that build it? It is important to have a letter of intent on this project. Having an LOI is necessary to make sure the project is being done by a responsible general contractor. These general contractors pay prevailing wage, healthcare, and apprenticeships. So many times we are seeing general contractors that refuse to work with us mistreat their workers in so many ways. Examples of these mistreatments include wage theft, tax fraud, and even human trafficking, just so they can bid low enough to win the project. We go out to non-union projects to find workers that are too scared to even talk to us about how they're being traded. Last thing we want is for this project to be a crime scene. I'm here asking you to make sure the workers will be protected and not exploited. Many times, developers use discrimination on wages as a delta to pad their profits. Please have Jefferson Union High School District consider a letter of intent with the Carpenters Local 217. Thank you for your time.
Brian Shields.
Hello, good evening, Commission. My name is Brian Shields. I'm a field rep with Carpenters Local 217. I'd like to also point out the fact that in the housing element, policy HE.19 encourage developers and contractors to evaluate hiring local labor, hiring from and contributing to apprenticeship programs, increasing resources for labor compliance, and providing living wages. The labor compliance portion is where workers on the job site have the ability to go ahead and come out and speak about what it is that's happening on the job site, right? So many times wage theft, tax fraud are key items that are affecting these individuals. This is an opportunity for the workforce of San Mateo County, of Daly City specifically, to have that, to be able to go to work and live where they work, right? More and more, San Mateo County is becoming increasingly expensive, pushing everybody out to the valley, down to Salinas, and they have to commute in. And that's the reality. We have the super commute here in California, which I don't know if that's a corny term or they're trying to be funny, but I don't think there's anything funny about that. That's my people that are driving. And if it's a 10-year build out, if it's a 20-year build out, that is X number of carpenters that are going to go to work on this. And if they're union carpenters, that means that we need to bring in X more to provide that middle class opportunity to them as well. So it's not just about this project. It's not just about this myopic look at it, but it's also the big picture where that person gets backfilled and we get to give that opportunity that was given to me when I got to come up from making $18 an hour and living in a trailer with 3 other guys working non-union construction, right? To now I have a daughter. She's 2 years old. I have a wife. We were able to buy a piece of land. You know, it's done everything for me, and I want to do that for somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Angel Barrios, please. 1221 Early Education Head Start. She had to leave. Okay. Very good. Sherry Hutchins, Hutchin. Sherry, is she here or does she have to leave? I'm sure she, okay, got it. Maxwell, he's coming up because he knows I can't read his last name. Yakhnicch? Is that you? How do you say that?
Yeah, it's Yaknich. Yaknich.
That's very nice. I'm sorry, I didn't want to butcher your name.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Hello. My name is Maxwell Yaknich. I'm a ninth grader at Terra Nova High School, and I'm in support of the Serramonte Del Rey project because of the difference the funding will make in our schools. JUHSD is the least funded high school district in the county, and with increased funding, there will be a plethora of upsides. Increased funding will not only mean happier teachers, but we will also be able to retain and attract great teachers. In addition, the project will help fund student programs. For me, this is the robotics team that I've started at my high school, and there are numerous other things. The project will change my high school and many others for the better, and this is why I'm in support of the Serramonte Del Rey project. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Maxwell. Eden, is she still here? Is she coming up? It's Eden Magbilang.
Hello. Hi. My name is Eden. I'm a student trustee as well as a student at Jefferson High School, and I'm here today to speak in favor for the Serramonte Del Rey project. Now, my dream profession is to be a teacher, and a history one to be exact. And I would actually love nothing more than to teach at the high school that I currently attend, Jefferson. However, I have seen many, many teachers in my school leave both my school and our district in order to pursue a higher paying career at a district that is also close by. And why wouldn't they? I'm skeptical about pursuing a teaching career in general just because of the pay, and I'm afraid that poor pay will keep good teachers away from this district. But the Serramonte Del Rey project would raise teachers' pay, causing them to be more likely to stay in our district, and hopefully allowing people like myself to be able to teach here without worrying about making a living wage. So please, vote in support of the Serramonte Del Rey project as recommended by staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Eden. I think it says Amira Tulo? I'm sorry. Tulloch. It's the pencil.
Yeah, it happens.
Welcome.
Hi. My name is Amira Tulloch. I am a current resident of Daly City and a graduate of Jefferson High School, class of 2016. And I'm here to implore you to take on this project. I am extremely proud to have graduated from Jefferson High School and to have received the education that I did. It afforded me the opportunity to pursue an undergraduate degree at UC Davis, and I'm now pursuing a postgraduate degree in the law at UC Law SF. And I wouldn't be able to do that without the amazing faculty and programs that were provided while I was a student at Jefferson. And even while I was there, they were always constantly at risk. It was so difficult for us to be able to maintain the programs that we had and retain the extremely incredible faculty and staff that were there because there was just nowhere else to get our funding. That per parcel funding that we get from our tax revenue just did not cut what we needed because there was no other funding that was provided by the state. I was there on every single parcel tax measure, calling and begging our community to provide for us, but that shouldn't have to be the case. Students shouldn't have to fund their own education. And I'm extremely happy that I got to go to Jefferson, but we won't be able to continue to provide quality education without some source for where that's coming from, and we won't be able to provide students who want to come back to this community a place to actually live and thrive without considering projects like this one. I was extremely glad to come back to this community to continue to serve the place that I call home, and that's not an option for a lot of people that I know because there's just no affordable housing here, and we all know that education is imperative to creating success and opportunity. And so I implore you to take on this project so that we can continue funding our schools and continue giving students that graduate from Jefferson and amazing schools in our district the opportunity to live and thrive here. Thank you.
So is there anyone else who wanted to speak who didn't give a card, or shall I at this point close?
Madam Chairman, can I make a
Well, I was wondering, I asked if we close the open
Yeah,
forum,
before we
then we
close
can
it,
speak.
can I say
Oh, before we,
something?
sure, go ahead.
Well, actually, I'm proud of the two kids here who spoke.
Maxwell
I
and
implore the young kids to participate in this kind of romantic adventure, because sometimes it helps, because you are the hope of our motherland. You will take over eventually. And my suggestion also to the Jefferson Union is, have you tried fundraising for those graduates of the Jefferson Union for the last 10 years? If they can only donate, say, $5 each, how much is that? You have to be more or less creative on this. Do not just rely on the government. We have to be strong on this. Ask them to give something. A little $5 can help a lot, especially if there are about how many graduates do you have since 20 years ago. This is just, I'm just speaking aloud, because some universities are asking, especially if you're doing well, they know. They will ask 1,000 a year, something like that, which is happening. That's why I'm imploring this kind of idea that you have to don't rely too much on the government. We have to rely on our strength. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
So I just had a few things and just the thoughts. You know, I did forget to ask. And I know we had a little talk earlier with a few different people. I'm just curious on how we keep talking money, right? We keep talking and we need the money. How much money is it? Right? I mean, that's important, right? How much money are we looking at annually, hopefully, for this project to give the money? And then once the money's received, how's the money come down the pike? Like, is it paid, then it goes to an account, then somebody maintains it, then the teachers, how do the teachers get the money?
So we haven't spoken publicly about the amount of money because.
But it's, right, I know that part.
Yeah.
But meaning, is it enough to cover these goals? And does it build? Like, do you get rent for 1 year or 2 years and then it goes up and it goes up?
It'll build. It's going to start off slow because it depends on how many projects that we're able to, each parcels that we're able to complete. Right, so it'll grow per parcel that we complete.
Okay.
We have the money, we have an idea of how much it'll be per all the parcels are complete. But I think, that's a really good point to bring up. Like, this is the level of desperation that we're at. Right, we're trying to squeeze money out of every stone. All of the money that comes in from our leases goes directly into our general fund in the same way as it does for our parcel taxes. So it is a pot of money that doesn't come tied to things. Like, a lot of money that comes from the state is tied up in strings. This is money that goes directly in our general fund and that we have the ability to use in the way that we think is the best for our community.
And when it goes into the general fund,
then it is. So one of the things that I love to brag about our school district is our level of transparency. You can go online now and look at our local control accountability plan is what it's called. That is what the state of California requires every school district to do. But our district does an additional layer of providing an executive summary, both to our budget that is very easy to read and understand, and also to our LCAP, which is how we spend every single dollar in our school district. So you can go right now online and look at our local control accountability plan and read every single project that we do and how much money it costs. And it's broken down for us every year. So it makes it very easy for us as school board members to be able to walk the talk and say, we know where the money is going, because I literally do.
No, I get that. So what I'm asking is,
Right.
so when the money comes in, because we keep talking that the money's for the teachers, right?
Right.
So when that money comes into your general fund, does that then equal where, you have this much money coming in, so then you can give raises this way, and how does, you know what I'm,
Right. So we as part of our budget cycle, our CBO, who's in the audience, lets us know potentially how much money it's going to be coming in. And then we are able to determine, like, this is how much money we can give in raises. This is how much money we're going to be able to do in benefits. So those projections are taken from how much money we're going to get from the government, how much money that we get locally from our parcel taxes, and then how much revenue that we'll get from our leases.
perfect. Yeah, it's important to say it. I think people need to hear it, because it's not like a magic thing where it's just going to drop down and money's going to rain down. It
No.
has to be in a process.
I wish it did, but it doesn't. Yeah,
We're
it
working
doesn't.
on that.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
working
So,
on that.
Madam Chairman, can I ask?
Yes, please.
How many funding sources do you have besides general fund?
So we get money from the state, we get money from the federal government, we get money locally from our parcel taxes, we have revenue from existing leases that we currently have. And then we have, so like you said, to go out, we have money from grants that come in, like any grant, any place that we can go to get additional dollars, we do.
Where do you put this money? For endowment?
General fund.
So everything goes in our general fund.
Only general fund?
Yeah, so
You
we
don't
have.
put it, you do not have any diversification of funds like endowment, reserve, the rainy season, and so forth and so on.
Investments.
Yeah, so
Wait.
we're a school district, so we're not really allowed to invest money in that way because of the potential loss. All of our money has to go, every dollar that we receive has to be spent for students.
And can I add to that too?
We're a public entity, right? So we're
I'm
a
asking
public
this
agency.
because this is my line.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm not going into details. I don't know.
And trust me, no one wants to
Very
get into the
quickly.
in and out of education funding. We'd be here all night.
Yeah. No, and the reason I asked that question is because there are going to be people listening, saying,
Well,
I
yeah,
hear
it's a
the
good
money, the
question.
money.
And the other part of the money funds that comes in the school district, it has to do with your ADA. And that's how many children do you have enrolled that's the funds based on, how much each child will get.
Correct.
I like that question.
Yeah.
But the other beauty about this project too is that it's the ongoing leasing. Developer fees only only comes.
And we don't get all, there's a whole,
And
that's a whole
that's
conversation,
it.
right?
But if you lease it, it's the ongoing funding that comes within, and it sits right there.
And so that's the thing that's important for us. In the same way that our parcel taxes, we know that money is going to be coming in. Right now, the state is about to go into a fiscal crisis. And so we're going to be unsure about our government funding. So it helps us to have stable funding that we know is going to be coming in year after year, so that we can continue to have all the programs that we have and make sure that they're stable. As school districts, we're not allowed to spend money that we don't have. We have oversight by the County Board of Education, and they will come back to us if we're spending money that we don't have on staff. So we can't employ people if we can't guarantee ahead of time that we're going to have the money to pay them. So right now, we have expanded a lot of programs due to need. And I want to be able to continue to be fiscally responsible. Our district is always in the black. We've always gotten a positive accreditation back from the county. We want to keep it that way. We don't want to be deficit spending, or what's happening with a lot of school districts. They build up programs and then have to cut them and lay people off. And we don't do that. So we build programs on the foundation of funding. If we don't have the funding, then we don't build a program.
So ma'am, you only have general fund, as you said, only general fund. No special fund for allocation for like disability or anything else.
So we have different funding buckets in our general fund.
Probably we don't understand each other.
Yeah,
Sorry.
oh no, it's okay. But we don't have I think you're asking for other ways to make money or investment funds? Is
Like
that what you're
CDs or
Not
something
really,
to save.
but more
So we have a
allocated.
savings, we have savings, we have different things, but we're not allowed to use our money in the ways that I think you're asking about.
No, I am not. Well, the beauty of budgeting is in the private sector,
Yes.
we try to think of the revenue,
Mhm.
right? But in the government sector, they think of how to spend it. You know the reverse?
Well,
you know
and
what I'm
then-
getting at?
and the
the
civ-
government will always think of how to spend it.
Right. And the difference
Whereas
between
the private sector like us, we are thinking how to earn revenue.
But I think the difference between the public and the private sector, because I work in the private sector and have worked for hedge funds and things in the past, is that you can spend money that you don't have. You can
in government.
No,
move it around.
in the private sector in corporate America, they can spend money they don't have. We can't do that as a government. We can't spend money unless we can't do something unless we actually have the money to pay for it.
You
We
can
don't
always
have credit.
do that in private if you have a credit line.
Right, and that's not
But
something that's available to us.
in government,
right.
can you go into borrowings? Can you go into borrowings?
No, so for specific things, like, so for example, for our workforce housing, we were able to borrow money, but we can't borrow money for staffing and things like that. That's not something that's available to us.
But I think the local government can do that. I don't know.
I wish we cannot.
You could, you would have, I'm sure. The other thing is, and just hearing on people who are living in another building that you all own, okay? And I did ask this question before I even heard anybody. The maintaining of the buildings, I think, are huge, especially for the size of those buildings, and that somehow that needs to be within whatever agreements you all have, because it's not, I mean, it would not be a good thing to build these buildings and not properly maintain them, you know?
Okay.
So I just throwing that out there. You heard it, I heard it, and I'm
Yes.
just throwing that out. And I, you know, I can't tell you all what to do, but maybe they need to be checked on.
Yes.
That's all cockroaches and leech and all this stuff is just not a good thing. But anyway, the other question is as I wanted to say is, so many people spoke about the low-income housing. I did recognize that it wasn't just basically low income. There were steps, right? And so for the people that really need it, the percentage is much lower, even though you brought it to 20%, right? Because that was something you guys talked about. It was more than the city required or requested.
Yeah.
It's still, you know, we talked about this. This is not going to be enough for all of us,
Right.
but it is a start. It is
It is a start, and that most affordable housing is built with at a much higher level. So it's very rare to see affordable housing at the 23% level.
Right.
And so that was one of our other main goals, is that how can we build affordable that was like very affordable?
Right.
And that's why we came up with this specific plan. But, you know, as a housing advocate, I'm not going to disagree about the need for affordable housing, but I'm a school board member first. And so my first fiscal and fiduciary duty is to ensure that as a organization, the JUHSD can continue to be fiscally solvent.
Then we just have to keep pushing for more affordable housing. That's
And
all,
that's-
as
and
every
I-
project comes across.
And that is something
As
that
residents
I
of Daly City, which we are, so.
Absolutely.
So we would do that. And then the other thing is just a question on the garden. The garden that, and I saw you had the raised beds and it looked all pretty. Is that in the same location as the other garden where these trees are mature and the birds and the butterflies and
No,
everybody
it's in
are
a
there?
completely different location.
Okay.
That the high rise is slated for where the current garden is, and that's because, as you spoke to, the location is one where it's not going to block sun, it's not going to block views. That's the place to build a high rise.
Got it.
Again, I will repeat, the district has no plans to keep what was intentionally a school garden that we have allowed the community to use. In the same way we allow the community to use our swimming pools, our basketball courts, our tennis courts. But the fear is that if we allow community members to use something, that ties us to keep it that way in perpetuity. If that's the case, then do we need to stop allowing community members to using our facilities so that we can never change it? That school garden was originally started by a teacher for the adult students in our programs in the Sarah Mellon Delray site. Because it has been opened up to the community and expanded, we can no longer allow our students out there. We do not, and we, as you heard, people are criticizing the way we're managing it. I agree with them. We do not know how to manage a garden. That's why we don't want to do it. It was hard for us to keep it under control. It was constantly being expanded. Things were being done that we disagreed with. We don't have the staff or capability to stay out there and manage it. And that's not something that we're prepared to do. So when we leave, it's closing. And regardless of how, and when I say we leave, when the new district office is done at the Westmore site, we're closing that garden, regardless of the decisions that are made in this building.
Good. Okay, I'm glad you explained that because, it's hard to hear everything. It's important to have both sides of the story.
Can I ask another question, Madam
Go
Chairman? How would you consider the so-called market rate plan for the affordable housing?
How do we consider, I'm sorry?
Market rate plan.
To the percentage of market rate to
Because
affordable?
the apprehension of the lady here, Miss Nancy Laksamana of Brisbane, you heard her, right? And it might be true because only those who can afford like 90,000 per annum can afford it, whereas those receiving below 50,000 cannot afford it. So it might happen that way.
Right.
The discrepancy might happen. You know what I mean.
So the affordable, I'm not going to argue with anybody. There's a certain percentage of affordable, and that's not going to be enough to handle the amount of affordable housing that's needed for everyone in Daly City. I agree. But what I'm also saying is that I'm asking that the district be held to another standard, which is while the lack of affordable housing is an issue, the lack of proper education for students is also an issue. I'm not asking you to lower or not build more affordable housing so we can put more money in people's pockets. I'm saying that the use of the money that would have been used for one place is going to go to educate the future leaders of our city. And again, this is something that is an issue for Daly City in particular. There's a reason why Daly City was the first. Both of our school districts built workforce housing before anyone, and still no one else has done it. And it's because of the desperate situation that we're in. I don't want to be on the wrong side of the folks over here. I don't want to be in the position to have to be at these meetings. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent away from my children on this project. But the reason why I'm doing it is because we don't have any other source of revenue. And every unit that we move from market rate to affordable is literally money that's coming out of the district's pocket. So again, it has been a lot of negotiation with the city. Like we started at 10% and that's where I was happy. And then the city said, no, we need to increase that. And we really worked hard to do it. I think we found a great compromise working together for over a year. And I think we've landed a place where no one got everything they wanted. But it's, to me, that's leadership, that's partnership, that's collaboration.
Right, which is what I was understanding was city wanted 10%, giving it 20, that's where that sliding scale moves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's not just, so it's this plus this.
It's just the 10% is all affordable.
Affordable housing.
And then to get to the
20%, it was the sliding, which I understood. And the last thing I was just going to say was, obviously, and this is totally off of this subject, but obviously it's time to push the subject of school districts not having to be tied to what they get from our taxes, right? And that's it's a bigger project than you probably want to do. But that's
or
something.
that I'm probably going to get done in my lifetime.
Yeah. But I'm saying is it's time to get everybody involved in that.
Absolutely.
Because the entire state should be the same. All schools should get the same amount of money.
Absolutely.
That's it. So we get in trouble from somebody. But that is what needs to happen. And each school district needs to band together and go knock on the door up in Sacramento and let them have it because we have to.
I completely agree. And I tell parents this all the time, and it has to be more than just people who have their kids in schools, that they cut school funding and nothing happens to the legislators. They cut anything else and they'll hear about it, but they cut school funding and nothing happens. that we have to show up in support of education. And that has been something that anybody who knows me, even before I was a school board member, I was advocate for more funding into schools.
And I will say, I went to Vista Grande. Not many people know where Vista Grande School is. Yes, we do. Only you and I know, because they tore it down and built it up. And then went to Colma School, and then I went to Jeff. And I will tell you, I'm sorry, because people might know this, I sent my kids to private school.
Yeah.
You know why I did it? Because I had the education, right? And I wanted to give my kids the best I could do, and all I could think of was that. And I hawked the house. I still pay my house after millions of years, but I put my kids in private school because of that. On the other hand, I've supported schools, all our schools, and helping in whatever I can through what I've done with scholarships and helping in the community, because I believe in the schools, right?
My
So-
daughter was a recipient of one of your scholarships. That
Yay.
she spoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so what I wanted to say is, at the time, I did the best I could to figure out what I could do for my own children. But all the children coming up, they need help, all the kids, because those kids are going to turn into adults. And here we are, right? Right. And here we are. So let me know when you start wanting to go knock on the door in Sacramento. We need to do that, right?
You don't have to tell me twice. Yeah.
Yeah. We could do carpool.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for your time, every single one of you guys. I didn't want to look what time it was. I told my husband I'd be home at 12. But anyway, I wanted to thank everybody. So at this time, unless anybody else wants to make another comment, I think at the time we're just going to move forward. Is that okay?
One last.
One more? Okay.
Your Honor, for those people who was not able to talk or was not able to articulate the issue, you make a position paper and submit it to the council, because eventually after this, it will go to the council for approval, okay? So just make a position paper, especially the guy who cannot talk. Sometimes it happens to me also, mental block, we call it, man. But make it, write it, and make a position paper. Executive summary or whatever you call it, just submit it, and they will listen. Because I read all your comments, 291 comments, so I read.
I knew it was over 200. I knew it was over 200.
291, that's
Did
more
you
than
count?
200. Anyway, thank you very much, Your Honor. And I move to close the public hearing, except my colleague wants to ask more
You
questions.
want to ask another question before we close the public
No,
hearing?
let's get on this.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing. We'll make a motion for that. Anybody?
I motion for approval.
You made a motion,
Oh,
second?
sorry. I second, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yep, roll call.
You don't need?
Call for closing
Okay,
public
motion.
No. Okay, well then, in that case, let me look down the line of things we have. We closed it. Now, okay, there's a lot. I'm sorry, there's three. Here we go. So we'd like to, first of all, we'd like to see who would like to adopt the findings in the Planning Commission staff report. Now, do we have to do a vote on each one?
No.
You're only going to do a vote on the actual
Approval?
recommendation of
Okay.
approval, yes.
So number 4. Very good. So recommend that the Planning Commission forward to the City Council the following recommendations subject to the conditions of approval. I'll read all of them. Approve General Plan Amendment GPA 0421149998 to change the general plan designation from residential high-density RHD and commercial office CO to commercial mixed-use CMU, outlined herein. I'd like to have a motion.
Motion.
I second, please.
Let's have a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm moving to you.
Fabhua,
Aye.
Paniza,
Aye.
Satori,
Yes.
Proano.
Aye. Next, to approve the plan development PD 0421149997 rezoning project site from Plan Development PD 31 and Plan Development 31A to a new Plan Development PD 31B, and approve major subdivision SUB 0421149999 to subdivide the project site into 6 development parcels and additional street parcels with public access easements, and approve design review for the site and building design for the proposed development and site improvements on parcel B, and certify the final environmental impact report and adopt a mitigation, monitoring, and report program for the projects. Do we have a motion for that?
Motion.
I second.
Okay. We'd like to have a vote?
Yes, Fa'apua,
Aye.
Paniza,
Aye.
Tori,
Yes.
Proano.
Aye. Okay. We've been here so long, I don't know which part is next. Do you guys want to go home? Okay.
Of course.
So at this time, there's no public appearances or staff communications. Are there any upcoming events that are happening in the city? I'm sure there is.
Actually, if we could go back.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think I heard the motion and second to adopt the findings.
What number is that on?
Should be number, can I see your sheet?
Yeah, because I was going down the line, I read everything. Someone didn't put it on my list? That'll be tough.
Oh, number 3.
Excuse me, everybody. Adopt the findings in the Planning Commission staff report. Is that everything? That's why you came today, right? To catch it. Good, very good. Okay, so we're all ready to do a vote? Including that?
Motion.
Okay, motion for approval.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
Yes.
let's do a roll call.
Do a roll call. Fa'apua,
Yes.
Paniza,
Aye.
Satori,
Yes.
Proano.
Yes. We
When
good?
is this going to the council?
Staff intends to send to the city council a request to set time and place at the December 12th special city council meeting for a public hearing on January 22nd.
Oh, January.
So.
I don't want them to work on a holiday.
Has to give notice.
So I just, at this time, just again, want to thank everyone for being here, taking the time to sit here, to answer questions, to listen. If you have other comments and you forgot to do it, anybody who does, feel free to write to the council. Let them know your thoughts and recommendations. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time for us, anyway, there's no public appearance or staff communications, no vacation, no nothing, so we will adjourn.
will
May I
have-
have a motion to adjourn?
Wait.
Oh.
I would like to say thank you to the city manager for hosting a lively, enjoyable
He can't hear us. Oh, our party.
Christmas party of the commissioners and board member. Thank you very much.
Thank you, City Manager. He's waving.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
No, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're done. Ah.